The CEO's laugh cut through the restaurant like glass breaking, loud, sharp, meant to humiliate. "A waitress? You're asking me to take business advice from a waitress?" He turned to his associates, making sure everyone heard. "What's next? Stock tips from the busboy?" The woman holding the coffee pot didn't flinch, just refilled his cup with steady hands and walked away. But what nobody knew was this. That woman wasn't just a waitress. She was Dr. Sarah Mitchell, Harvard PhD. Economics, the most brilliant student her program had seen in 20 years. And the man laughing? He was about to make the most expensive mistake of his career. 3 years earlier, Sarah Mitchell had everything. Goldman Sachs waiting, Federal Reserve calling. Future so bright it hurt to look at. She'd defended her thesis on a Tuesday. Standing ovation from the committee. Dr. Robert Thompson told her she'd redefined how economists think about emerging markets. Then Thursday happened. Her mother called. 3 words, "I have cancer." Stage 3, ovarian, experimental treatments. Bills that made student loans look like pocket change. Her mother had worked 3 jobs to get Sarah through school. So when the diagnosis came, Sarah didn't hesitate. She turned down every offer, moved back to Queens, found flexible work. Romano's Steakhouse didn't care about her PhD, just wanted someone who showed up on time. Dr. Sarah Mitchell became just Sarah, the girl who brought water and disappeared when you didn't need her. But one lunch shift was about to change everything. Sarah's alarm went off at 5:30. Same routine. Subway to Manhattan. Packed against strangers. Nobody seeing her. She'd gotten good at being invisible. Romano's was busy when she arrived. Danny setting tables. Maria restocking. Angelo yelling about steaks. Sarah tied her apron. Game face on. Table 9 called, Danny said. Big party, CEO type. Great, love those. Her voice was flat. Yeah, nothing says good tips like entitled assholes. At least they pay. She started filling salt shakers. But what Sarah didn't know yet was this. The man in table 9 was going to test her in ways she hadn't been tested in years. Lunch rush started at 11:30. Sarah moved fast. Professional. Table 12 sent back steaks. She fixed it. Table 7 complained about wine. She brought another bottle. Table 4 wanted impossible substitutions. She smiled through it. But table 9 was different. She felt it immediately. Richard Ashford sat at the head like a king, mid-50s, suit that cost more than her car. 3 younger men around him, laughing at everything he said. Good afternoon. I'm Sarah. Professional. Forgettable. Ashford barely looked. Scotch, neat, top shelf. She took their orders, brought drinks, stayed invisible. Then they started talking business, and Sarah couldn't help but listen. The merger's done, Ashford said, confident. 6-month transition. Exchange rates are stable. We'll make $50 million easy. A junior associate nodded. Brazilian market looks solid, minimal currency risk. Sarah's hand tightened on her water pitcher. That was wrong. The real had been volatile for months. But she stayed quiet. Wasn't her business? Indonesian suppliers will adapt to our timeline, another said. Also wrong. But Sarah said nothing. Just refilled glasses, just stayed invisible. 2 tables over, an older man sat alone, reading, drinking coffee. He'd been watching her all afternoon. Professor Robert Thompson couldn't believe what he was seeing. His best student ever, serving coffee, wearing an apron. Being ignored by men who couldn't carry her research notes, he didn't understand. But he was about to do something that would change both their lives. Sarah was clearing table 9 when it happened. Ashford's associates were talking, using economic terms like weapons. The Stolper-Samuelson theorem supports our approach. Sarah froze. Stack of plates in her hands. That was so wrong it was almost funny. The theorem assumed 2 countries, 2 commodities. They had 4 markets, 7 currencies. Their model was elegant on paper, useless in practice. Actually, the word came out before she could stop it. Ashford looked up, annoyed. Problem? I couldn't help but overhear. About the theorem, it assumes factor price equalization in a two-country model. You have 4 markets, multiple commodities. The base assumptions don't apply. She stopped, saw his face. Never mind, I'm sorry. Ashford stared, then started laughing. Loud, mean. Did she just try to lecture me about economics? His associates laughed too, uncomfortable but obedient. Sweetheart, do you know who I am? Richard Ashford, Ashford Consulting. MBA from Wharton, 30 years experience. And you think you understand economics? I think your model has flaws. You think? His voice got louder. You're a waitress. You bring food. You don't think about economics. Every table was watching now. I was trying to help. Help! Get me another scotch. Stick to what you're qualified for, which is definitely not business strategy. The humiliation burned like acid, but Sarah didn't cry, just met his eyes, then walked away with her head high. Behind her, Ashford's voice carried, "Can you believe that? A waitress giving me financial advice?" His associates laughed. The moment passed. Order restored. But what Richard Ashford didn't know was this. He'd just humiliated the wrong person. And in 72 hours, he was going to realize it. Sarah made it to the kitchen before her hands started shaking. Danny found her. You okay? I forgot my place. I forgot I'm just the waitress. Screw that guy. He's right, though. That's what I chose. She fixed her hair, went back to work. But something had shifted. Professor Thompson watched from his table, saw the whole thing, and felt rage building. He knew who Sarah was, what she'd sacrificed. Watching this idiot mock her made him want to flip the table. But he waited. Let her finish her shift. When she passed, he said one word. Sarah. She stopped, turned, looked at him properly. Her face went white. Professor Thompson? What happened next would change everything. They walked to the alley behind the restaurant, where Sarah took breaks. Thompson looked at her, seeing past the uniform. What are you doing here? Gentle, not accusatory, working. You had offers. Goldman, the Fed, you were going to change the field. My mother got cancer. Someone needed to pay for treatments. Someone needed to be there. This work was flexible. Is she okay? In remission. 2 years. So why are you still here? Because nobody hires economists who've been waitressing for 3 years. Because I have a gap in my resume. Because I'm 31 and my recent experience is serving steaks. She laughed. It sounded like breaking. Besides, you saw what just happened. That's what happens when waitresses have opinions. But Professor Thompson had a plan. One that would force Sarah to remember who she really was. That man, Ashford. He's wrong about everything. I know. You know how I know you know. Because you're smarter than he'll ever be. Sarah, you were the most brilliant student I ever taught in 40 years. That was a different life. It was 3 years ago. Your brain didn't disappear. Professor, I'm consulting for a firm. They're making the same mistakes. Worse. About to lose $50 million. They need someone who can show them the math. He pulled out a card. I'm presenting Friday. They're not listening. I need someone like you. Thompson paused. The firm is Ashford Consulting. Sarah felt something shift. Not quite hope. Something darker. Vindication. When? Friday, 9 a.m.? I'll be there. Good. Bring your thesis. Bring your research. Show Richard Ashford what he dismissed. Thompson touched her shoulder. You're not just a waitress. Never were. Time to remind yourself. But what Sarah didn't realize was this. The next 72 hours were going to test her in ways Harvard never did. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. Got up at 2 a.m., pulled out her thesis, Hadn't opened it in 3 years, dusty binding, yellowed pages, but the math was still good. She read like it was written by a stranger, saw connections she'd forgotten, arguments she'd built, felt something stirring she'd thought was dead. Pride. She stayed up until dawn, updating models, running new scenarios, testing theories against Ashford's flawed assumptions. The more she worked, the more certain she became. He was catastrophically wrong, and she could prove it. When her alarm went off, she was still at her computer. Looked like hell, felt like hell. But for the first time in 3 years, she felt like herself. But first, she had to survive 2 more days of serving him lunch. And what happened would make Friday even sweeter. Wednesday lunch. Ashford was back. Same table, same arrogance. Sarah took orders, brought drinks, stayed invisible, listened to them make worse mistakes. Currency hedge is unnecessary. Our timeline is tight enough. Wrong. Sarah's hands shook, pouring water. Thursday was worse. Ashford brought executives from the merger company, talked projections, all based on flawed models. Sarah listened to them plan their disaster. Stayed silent, because she was just the waitress. But what Ashford didn't know was this. Every word he said was ammunition. And Friday morning, Sarah was going to bury him in it. Friday morning, Sarah dressed in her one good suit, black blazer, professional. Her mother caught her. "Baby, where are you going?" "To remember who I am." "You never forgot. Just been busy being someone else for a while." Her mother hugged her. "Go show them. What if I'm not as good anymore? Then you'll get better. But you were always brilliant. Coffee didn't change that." The Ashford building was glass and steel. Intimidating. Sarah walked through with her thesis under her arm, found Thompson outside the conference room. "You came." "More ready than I've been in years." They entered. Sleek table, leather chairs, windows overlooking Manhattan, Richard Ashford at the head. Looking annoyed, his time was wasted. He saw Thompson, nodded, saw Sarah. His face changed. Recognition, disgust. What is she doing here? But what happened next he'd remember for the rest of his life. "Mr. Ashford, meet Dr. Mitchell." Thompson's voice was steel. The room temperature dropped. Ashford's face went red to white to purple. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, Harvard Ph.D., economics, top of her program, thesis that redefined the field. "You know her as the woman you called just a waitress 3 days ago." Ashford's mouth opened, closed. "This is ridiculous. You need to listen. Dr. Mitchell analyzed your merger plan. What she found will save your company, or destroy it, depending on whether you're smart enough to pay attention this time." Thompson gestured. "Dr. Mitchell, begin." Sarah opened her laptop, looked at the man who'd humiliated her. "Mr. Ashford, your merger plan will cost you $53 million in 90 days. Here's why." First slide. Data, graphs, numbers. You're applying Stolper-Samuelson to a multi-market scenario. This assumes 2 countries, 2 commodities. You have 4 markets, 7 currencies, 12 commodity dependencies. The theorem doesn't apply. Your foundation is wrong. Ashford's face reddened. "This is—" "Let her finish," Thompson said quietly. Next slide. Your timeline assumes stable exchange rates over 6 months. Real data from 90 days shows volatility spiking in 3 of 4 markets. Brazilian real alone fluctuated 12%. Your models use last quarter's data, not real time. Another slide. Month 1. Real depreciates 8%. 6 million lost on foreign exchange. Month 2. Indonesian suppliers raise prices for their own exposure. 4 million. Month 3. European market shifts. 18 million. By month 6, the merger is underwater. Silence. Ashford's associates stared like it was a foreign language. "You can't—" Ashford started, stopped. Sarah pulled out a report, slid it across, full analysis. 3 alternative approaches minimizing exposure. Have your team review it. But the math doesn't lie. Ashford opened the folder, started reading. She saw the moment he understood. Where did you... He looked up. I have a PhD in economics from Harvard. 5 years researching emerging markets. My thesis was on this exact scenario. And for 3 years, I listened to you discuss this merger while I served lunch. Sarah's voice was ice. You assumed my apron meant I didn't have a brain. That was your first mistake. Your second was being arrogant enough to keep assuming it even after I warned you. But what came next would change both their lives. Ashford set down the report, looked at Sarah, really looked. You're right. About everything. Timeline, currency exposure, all of it. He stood, walked to the window. 30 years building this company, and I just got schooled by someone I treated like garbage. He turned. I'm sorry. For the restaurant, for how I treated you, for judging your worth by your uniform, inexcusable. Yes, it was, Sarah said, not forgiving yet, just acknowledging. Why are you serving coffee? With your credentials, you could be anywhere. My mother had cancer. I needed flexibility and income. Waitressing provided both, but she's better now. 2 years remission. So why still there? Because nobody takes waitresses seriously. The gap in my resume means people assume I'm not serious. They see waitressing and forget Harvard. That's their loss. Ashford walked back. I need someone like you. Someone who sees what I miss. Someone smarter than me who'll say it. Are you offering me a job? Chief economic analyst, your own team, full authority, 6 figures, full benefits. He paused. A chance to use that mind instead of hiding it. Sarah looked at Thompson. He was beaming. Think about it, but not long. I need someone who knows what they're doing. I'll think about it. But Mr. Ashford, if I take this, things change. You learn to listen. To people who don't look like you. Who might wear aprons or clean offices. Because intelligence doesn't come with a dress code. Understood, Ashford offered his hand. Is that a yes? That's a maybe. I'll call Monday. Sarah shook. Firm. Equal. Walked out with her head high. That night, she told her mother everything. Take it, her mother said immediately. This is everything you worked for. I worked to take care of you. And you did. But I'm okay now. You've been hiding 3 years. Being smaller than you are. Time to stop. Time to be Dr. Mitchell again. Her mother took her hands. Don't let what you had to do define what you get to do next. You're brilliant. You deserve a career that matches your talent. Monday morning, Sarah called. I'll take it. 3 conditions. Name them. 1. I hire my own team. From non-traditional backgrounds. Done. 2. Full authority over analysis. If I say numbers don't work, we don't proceed. Agreed. 3. You have lunch at Romano's next week. Tip generously, treat every server like they might be the smartest person in the room, because they might be. Ashford laughed. Deal. Anything else? Don't make me regret this. I won't. Thank you. For the analysis. For the honesty. For a second chance. Thank you for finally listening. 6 months later, Sarah in her office. Real office. Her name on the door. She'd restructured the merger, saved $47 million, built an analytics department, hired 6 from non-traditional backgrounds, teacher, stay-at-home parent, retired accountant, people overlooked, dismissed. She made sure they knew. Worth isn't job titles. Intelligence doesn't disappear. Sometimes the smartest person is the one everyone's ignoring. Ashford knocked. New client, Peru mining, complex regulatory. Currency instability. Sounds fun. Need it Friday. Can do. Thank you for everything. You changed this company. You gave me a chance when I needed one. When I was just a waitress. You were never just anything. I was too blind to see it. Won't happen again. That night, Sarah went home. Still Queens, still modest, but different now, lighter. Her mother was cooking, moving without pain, laughing. How was work? Challenging. Exactly what I needed. I'm proud of you, Dr. Mitchell, changing the world. I had a good example. Sarah hugged her. Thank you. For teaching me love means sacrifice. But sacrifice doesn't have to be permanent. You were always worth it, baby. Every hard day. Every sacrifice. Later, Sarah thought about the man who'd mocked her. He'd been wrong, but also a gift. His cruelty forced her to remember who she was, pushed her to stop hiding, gave her the anger to fight back. That woman who'd written a revolutionary thesis had never disappeared, just been quiet, waiting, surviving, loving. Now she was back. Doctor, Sarah Mitchell was back, and she was never going to be invisible again. If you've ever been underestimated, leave a comment, tell us your story, subscribe if this resonated, because everyone deserves to be seen for who they truly are. The world is full of brilliant people being overlooked. Don't be the person who overlooks them. Be the person who sees them, who listens, who gives them the chance they deserve. You never know. The person you're ignoring might be the smartest person in the room.